when you're ready.
Morning, Gary, and welcome to the University of Exeter. And we're very pleased to have you here visiting Access and the University broadly today. Would you like to tell us something about how you connect with Access and where you've come from?
Sure. Okay. Yeah, very happy to do that. So the reason I'm down here today is because we had a meeting of the Access Net Zero Task Force yesterday, and I was really pleased to be invited along to that. Hopefully, as a critical friend for that. So that was excellent. But I've had wider involvement in Access over the last couple of years, mainly through the summer schools, where I've been talking to the participants in the summer schools about the underpinning competencies and capacities we need for making progress on sustainable development. But I kind of started my involvement with Access right at the very start when I was working in Natural England at the time, and the Natural Environment Research, Social Science Research Group was becoming kind of part of the Access community. And through that route, we kind of agreed that we would support Access in thinking about what kind of topics it would cover in the future. So we're doing some horizon scanning. The other thing is that I have a visiting professorship at Surrey, which is obviously co-lead for Access. And so I was quite happy to spend some of my time as visiting prof at Surrey to support Access in other ways as well.
So, I mean, coming back to Access, Access is about making social science on environmental problems and challenges a bit more visible, a bit more used, a bit more impactful. I mean, I guess you've spent a lot of your career outside of the academy in bodies like Natural England, etc., in government, but also in consultancies as well.
That's right.
From that perspective, why do you think we need the social sciences? And what are the challenges in actually bringing them to bear?
Absolutely. Yeah. So I mean, this is right at the very heart of my my practice and my experience for over 30 years. So I trained as a natural scientist, became quite an expert in the chemistry of smog and air pollution. And armed with that knowledge, I thought I could go out and solve the air pollution problem. Very quickly realized that was not going to happen, and really found it was necessary to work with all sorts of other people from all sorts of other disciplines, whether they're engineers or medics or social scientists or psychologists or whatever. And so right from the start, really, the need to work across disciplines in trying to solve problems, taking a problem-centered view of it rather than a discipline-centered view of it was right at the heart of what I started off. So I brought that into consulting, working on a whole range of different topics, and particularly in undertaking environmental assessments for large development projects and having to work across the huge range of disciplines involved in that and helping to bring them together. So it wasn't just kind of done as a multidisciplinary work where some poor sucker like me was stuck in the middle trying to make sense of 15 or 16 different disciplines' view on something, actually trying to get them to work more closely together and drive that interdisciplinarity. So that's kind of always been at the heart of my practice. And then taking that into the policy world makes it even more necessary.
Was that, I mean, did you have to really struggle and make good arguments to bring the social science in a bit more, or was there general kind of receptivity to it?
I think in the world of practice, in people wanting to tackle real world problems, I think there's a recognition of the need to bring in all sorts of perspectives from wherever they come. Whether they're called social science or not, I don't know. But you know, we had certainly working in consulting, we had people who were ethnographers and people who were psychologists and you know, all sorts of people working alongside engineers and acousticians and ecologists. And because it was centered around the problem and we were focused on addressing the problem, there was a recognition, I think quite an equitable recognition of the fact that everybody had something to contribute to it.
Because that's something I think which is also written into the kind of kernel of what Access is trying to do, because there's been, I think, a long-standing concern that social science tends to end up at the end of the pipe. You know, we're brought in quite late, really, after the problem has been defined by others, after the solution has been defined by others, and then to kind of just help roll out the solution. So it sounds like you've been involved in contexts where it's been a bit more equitable or a bit more early, is that right?
No, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, I think the sort of classic, really, example of that was when I spent time in government as the head of public engagement with science, engineering, and technology, and creating facilities to support public dialogue around emerging science and technology.
What kind of topics was that?
So that looked at literally every topic you can imagine: nanotechnology, trust in the internet, climate change, human embryo chimeras, you name it. That covered that, and my job was as the policy manager within government. And again, the role of a policy manager in government is not to know the answer to everything, but to know what questions to ask and where to go to get the answers. And so setting up something like a national public dialogue on a particularly knotty problem involves so many different kind of disciplines and expertises, and also kind of practical experts as well as academic experts as well.
Right.
So you can't have a public debate on nanotechnology, for instance, without thinking about issues to do with risk and trust and all that kind of stuff. So you kind of need to bring those kind of social issues in.
And is there any one thing you'd like to leave us with in terms of a big key takeaway, or what do you think Access could really learn?
So I think Access is an absolutely fabulous development. It's very much needed. There still are quite a lot of people out there who think that exactly what you said, Patrick, about bringing the social sciences at the end to help with the communications. So it kind of really does need to reach not just within the social science community and give the social science community a bit of a bolster and say, yes, actually, yes, you are necessary, but to really kind of land it with the engineers, with the technicians, with the medics, etc., and kind of make it clear that if we are to tackle these problems like net zero, nature depletion, pollution, whatever, then taking a problem-centered view of it, where social science plays equitably alongside the more technical subjects, I think is absolutely right.
Well, here's to that then. Thanks for the challenge.